Hello everybody, welcome to Mui Wo on Lantau Island in Hong Kong for the Lantau 70, one of the classic races in the Asia Trail Master Championship Series. It's the first time we're here actually. We were supposed to be here already in 2020, but everybody knows what happened. It was COVID crisis and this race was postponed for several years. And this race used to be taking place at the end of October in the autumn, and now we're here in the spring. And with me is John Ellis, who is unfortunately injured at the moment. John, what exactly is going on with your health?
So unfortunately, I've just had a few issues. My Achilles is I've got a bit of tendinosis there, and a Morton's neuroma. Might be surgery, so we'll have to see how that goes. It's really disappointing not to be able to run this race because it's one of my favourite races in Hong Kong.
We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. John Ellis will be with me the whole day. That's the plan at least. So we will be covering the race as much as we can. Also depends on connectivity always. Starts is a bit delayed. It was supposed to start already 8 minutes ago, but it will be taking place I think in 2 or 3 minutes. So I was just saying, John, this race usually takes place in the autumn. Now we're in spring. Do you think that makes a difference?
Yeah, the weather is just such a big factor in this race. Normally it's in October, which actually is probably a little bit warmer than now. And because of that, and because you've got this really front-loaded course, and then the last 30 Ks is just running. It's fairly flat. There's nowhere just to sort of walk up a hill and take a break. And so you really need to get your pacing right. And so when it's hot, it makes a really big difference. So today should be a little bit cooler than it is normally, but it's always tricky. I think just sitting here on the start line, I'm already sweating and I'm not doing anything. It's really humid today. I think sort of 80-85% humidity. We weren't meant to get much sunshine. It's already starting to come out, and yeah, the weather's going to be a factor today. It will make a difference.
What is so special about this race in your eyes?
I think this is probably Hong Kong's sort of best community-led race. There's always been this Lantau trail run community. I think this race has been going for 10 or 11 years, and the community just really gets behind it. It's not one of these big, sort of splashy, big races, but it's just one of these community races. It's got that nice atmosphere where the whole, people at Lantau and all the running community get behind it just to make it happen.
So we're in Hong Kong, finally again, after 3 years. There have already been a couple of races here, right, since the end of COVID. Have you noticed anything in terms of competitive runners? Are there new faces, or is it still the old guard, Jeff Campbell, yourself? Are there new faces in your eyes?
Yeah, they really are. It's one of these things where we haven't had races for 3 years in Hong Kong, and 3 years is a long time for people just to find their groove and really start to emerge. And it's 3 years without being able to see people just get a little bit better, and all of a sudden they're in a race and they're winning things. So there's a new guard that's coming through. I think about the trail walker team that won a month ago. Guys that no one had really heard of 3 years ago, and they're getting the fastest Hong Kong team in 31 years in the race. A couple of younger guys in their 20s, so it's definitely something to look out for, and that we're seeing at the moment with racing returning to Hong Kong.
But today here in Lantau 70, I think it's still the usual names on the start list, right? So we have Jeff Campbell, we have Alessandro Sherpa, we have Dennis Theodosius, if I pronounce his name correctly. Do you think that Dennis has a chance against Campbell, Sherpa, Macaneras, of course?
I think it's going to be hard for him. He's struggled with a few injuries. I think if this race was a year ago, he had an amazing Western States, for example. He was in amazing form, but when you have injuries, it's hard to maintain that peak level. So there's a lot of good runners there. There's going to be a few surprise packets, I think, on the local side as well. Of course, Arnie, reigning Asian Trail Master champion. We don't know how he's going to suit this sort of terrain, but he's such a strong runner.
Macaneras has been here already for a few days. Have you had a chance to run with him like Sherpa and Campbell have done, or not yet?
No, I mean I meant to stay off the running, but I've had a chance to catch up with him, and he's feeling strong. He's in good form. I think he can run good road. He's very good on technical, so I think this should suit him. And here we go with the start. Arnie Macaneras, the ATM champion. We have Solomon Wetstein here in the Jugla outfit in the front, but he is in the relay race, so he's not in the race. Here we have Ruth Teresia from Bandung in Indonesia, former ATM champion as well, in her first Asia Trail Master race in 3 years. We also see Dolores Sales passing by. We have Agi Sabanal here as well. Agi, just like Ruth, is a little bit on the comeback trail in ATM. She was number 2 in ATM 2018 behind Ruth. And the two of them will have a good chance here to win the women's race. Or is anybody from the local side here in Hong Kong also a potential winner of the women's race? Yeah, look, I think the women's race is really open. Actually, there's probably 10 different women that could win it. It's always really hard when you're coming off 3 years of no racing. But I think, I think Jinko, I think Katrina, those ladies were winning races before the break, and I think they've stayed quite fit. So, yeah, I think the locals are going to be pretty hard to beat here today at Lantau 70.
All right, we're looking forward to all the action. We'll cut it out here with the live stream, and we'll be back